Well, I guess we're live. What's up, everybody?
Yeah,
It's
every time I guess we're live. Don't you know that we're live?
yeah. I mean, it says we're live on the thing, but
Right,
it's
dude,
like,
you're a schmeal.
yeah. So another episode of Superbike Genius. We've got the genius himself. He came back from Brainerd. He's the team owner of the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing Team.
I don't really own the team. I do is I launder the money.
Oh yeah,
I get
yeah.
it from sponsors and I pay everybody else with it.
You. It's what a concept to take your sponsorship dollars and go racing with it.
Yeah, I could be like one of those other teams in the paddock and buy a house or something.
I mean,
Pay your mortgage.
that could be a thing, right?
Yeah, haven't figured out how that thing works yet after all these years.
Me neither, man. Me neither.
Well, that's why I have another business after work.
Yeah, you mean you didn't get the holiday off today, man? You didn't close the shop for Juneteenth?
Juneteenth?
Yeah.
Hey man, my ancestors had nothing to do with it.
I don't know.
I'll keep working.
I can't say one way or the other. No, you know what? I'm not from Texas.
I thought you're not from Texas, but aren't you like bred in the South or
I'm
something?
kind of like I've got a bunch of family from
Yeah, so
like
shame on you.
from Virginia. From
And
Virginia.
Walker, he's from Alabama. So I
Yeah.
know his family had something to do with it.
Clearly, right? No, but Juneteenth was 2 years after the um,
Yeah,
emancipation, whatever. This isn't that kind of show, but
no.
I was off today. So
Well, it doesn't matter what holidays we're working.
I know. Hey, you get Festivus off, all right? Like, no, you
No, we
don't.
work
No, you
Festivus.
don't. You work
We go do
Festivus.
Festivus.
Yeah.
That's part of Festivus. You come to work, right? And then you go eat lots of barbecue, drink beer, and then you go to go-karts and smash into each other. Pretend you're racing.
Oh man.
Cameron was at Festivus with us this year.
I know.
We had a
That
good
was
time.
fun.
You were there.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
We still worked.
Yeah, you did. I just showed up and Festivus did. Like today.
We're stealing the term Festivus for any of those guys who are not old enough to know the show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just right around Christmas time, the Attack team goes go-kart racing after stuffing our faces with Southern style chain
Well,
food.
the whole idea is to be gluttonous
Oh,
and then try to fit in a go-kart and race.
wow. So Brainerd,
Yeah.
spill the tea, man. Like what,
The worst bathrooms ever.
Okay.
Period. No doubt about it.
I heard that. I mean,
I like the area. It's a we've been going there since there was a motorcycle, I think. And I remember one time testing out there in the winter. The Kawasaki road race manager had this great idea of renting the track in the middle of the winter. I'm like, are you crazy? It was the two Haydens, Tommy and Roger, and Hayes and Tony Myron. And the only people did laps was Myron did a few laps, and Hayes, of course, he'll ride anything, anytime. He went out and did laps on Myron's bike. The place was like frozen. It was below something or other. There was no snow on the track. It was awful. And that was when it was the old track, when turn 1 and 2 meant something. But
the Donnybrook.
Now it's the more politically correct track.
Actually, I while you're talking, like I did copy and paste a comment from one of the Facebook groups about, I can't remember the name of the Facebook group, but I copied it because the guy was talking about attendance levels and stuff, and then there was people making some suggestions. I saw actually a lot of Donnybrook course suggestions, but basically this guy said that Brainerd's attendance was lower this year than it was last year. And he thought it might be due to like the schedule change or the increase in VIP camping prices. However, the prices were lowered back down to 300, aka last year's price, right as the date approached. And he says, as a Minnesotan, it was disheartening, but he hopes Moto America can improve the experience next year. And maybe the contrast between Roto America and Brainerd is striking, and he hopes efforts are made to enhance Brainerd's track facilities, workers, amenities, etc.
Yeah, Road America was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. It was like a World Superbike. No, it was better than a World Superbike event. It was like almost like a MotoGP.
Really?
It was really, really packed. Yeah, I mean, it was guys were going around the back section there. They couldn't believe how many people back there.
Because looking at Misano, I mean, looking at Misano, the race last weekend, it looked like it was packed. Like,
yeah, no, I think
they did a helicopter shot, and it looked.
Yeah, some tracks, they make me eat my words. I keep saying that because of more or pretty good access online.
Right.
A lot of people just don't want to go through the discomfort of going on the racetrack, and people, let's face it, people get lazier and lazier every year. Generation we live in. Everything's instant. Everything's an instant phone, instant online. You get the news right at fingertips, whether it's true or not. It's right there at your fingertips. And so going to a racetrack, spending a bunch of money on a hotel, traveling, flights, driving, whatever it is, taking the family, spending a shitload of money, especially with inflation the way it is right now.
Right.
I don't want to get all political, but it sucks. And so I think it discourages people from going out and going to the races. But Road America kind of made me eat my words on that one because it was pretty packed. But it could be that, the winter is done over there. For the most part, the guys are jonesing to get out in that local area. So maybe they all went to Road America instead of Brainerd, which isn't that far away.
Yeah. Hell, this another guy said that he said that they need to go back to the Donnybrook course. That layout is night and day different. I actually I saw a lot of comments like Brainerd isn't actually Brainerd unless it's Donnybrook. I saw a lot of that, like the pure.
Yeah. The problem is that course it would need to be completely repaved. They have completely run down the area where you would instead of going through that, going straight past the carousel and going over the old course and going down the staging lanes for the drag strip.
Yeah,
that's what they used to do. They used to go down staging lanes and make a right turn on the drag strip and then go down the whole drag strip all the way to the shutdown lane, all the way through turn 1 and 2. I mean, that whole thing was full throttle. It was crazy. I don't know the bikes would be going so fast. If they had MotoGP there, I don't know what they would be doing going to turn 1.
Yeah.
250 miles an hour. I mean, it's crazy.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, we were real close to 200 back then, just tipping into turn 1. I mean, when's the last time we ran that course? I can't remember. It was a while ago. Long time ago.
Like 03 or something?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool and kind of not, that racetrack.
Right.
It's pretty bumpy. There's really a lot of sharp edge cracks that set the suspension off. Really have to work on the chassis quite a bit to get it go over those bumps. So I think it's hard for some people, especially with all the other tracks are so smooth now. Like the BMWs kind of struggle there,
Yeah.
SDK I think did a pretty good job with his Beamer, but you end up finding gravity pretty quick, in race 2. So it does catch you off if your bike's not set up right.
Right. I mean, a lot of commentary about how fast the R6 is still.
Oh yeah, the Strack thing. I think that's the second weekend on that engine we built them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fuel's a little bit better this year, so you can take a little more advantage of it. So the way the Supersport rules is the R6 is fairly open on cylinder head mods, and you still have to run the same valves and you can have aftermarket springs, but it's basically almost like a Superbike head. At least a Superbike head like current Superbike, not old Superbike, where it's a completely different style head. But so you have some options on the R6, which make it pretty competitive in World Supersport trim. Right. And early on, the rule makers were thinking that Moto America should be slower than World Supersport because of whatever reason. We're national, we're not an international something or another. I don't know.
Okay.
So, but that made it a bit of a unfortunate because the balancing rules they were using were really tuned towards World Supersport.
Right.
So the R6 was always struggling. Plus, I don't think there was always Rocco did pretty well with his. Remember a couple of years ago?
Yeah, he doubled.
Hayes did pretty good with his. There was a lot of tracks where he couldn't keep up. And so this year we're like, you know what? Let's help those track guys out and build them a proper engine so they can have a proper rider, proper team. you put a proper rider, proper team, proper engine, proper rules, and they're pretty competitive. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people are kind of like, oh, R6, why is it staying with the Ducati and the Suzukis? Well,
And why are the Suzuki guys and the Ducati guys always complaining about how slow
they're all complaining.
Yeah.
Because the little 600 beat their ass. But you got to give the rider credit that particular place. And they say, oh, the speed trap. That's because Matt's got a little bigger balls than the other guys, I guess, going through turn 1 and 2, or the bike set up better, because the trap speed's made in the middle of 2, I think. I think the speed trap is right in the middle of 2. So that really is kind of your corner speed in that corner there. So you are still accelerating through there. So anyway, but it did get off the last corner pretty good before we were heading down into 1 and 2. And Matt was riding the crap out of it, So
he looked like he could hold tighter lines than some of the other bikes.
Well, it's an R6, so it's a 600cc bike versus the big bikes. It should the corner better, right?
Yeah. I will say this, PJ looked like kind of a maniac too. I mean, that dude made a couple of passes that were like, holy shit, right? So
yeah, no, I mean, PJ's riding good too. He's definitely not shy to ride the crap out of the motorcycle.
I mean, more and more, it's looking, as the season progresses, it's looking more in Supersport that it's basically Matt versus PJ, which is kind of like should be expected, right? Like 2 top-level Superbike guys.
We're strangely enough, we're supporting both those teams in some fashion.
Yes.
So yeah, the Ray Hall guys do some of our components, and then Strat guys use our spec engine. We build the engine for them. So it's kind of cool watching both those guys go after it. And Ben came up to me, Spees, and he said, "Why do you have to build them such a fast engine?" I said, "Dude, come on, Matt's riding the bike." He goes, yeah, Matt's riding the bike hard.
Yeah.
So, but apparently that ruffled a few feathers the last one. But those guys should just chill out, because I think the Yamaha's won the last 3 years there, right?
Right.
It just that chassis gets around that bumpy, crappy racetrack.
Bumpy, crappy racetrack.
It's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, even,
it's got some character, but if that place had a good repave and a little bit of scenery, maybe some fresh bathrooms, that'd be all right.
Yeah.
Maybe some mosquito zappers in the back.
We were there at the test a few years ago. I was just stoked that they had air conditioning and timing and scoring.
Yeah, that's about it. I didn't know they had me up there.
Yeah.
It is a wintry type place, so air conditioning might become a short supply, but it does get pretty warm up there though sometimes.
Right. And then, in Supersport, the other guy, the other Ray Hall guy, the red bike Ray Hall guy, Corey Alexander.
He's riding good.
He's ripping, dude. I was like,
that guy's like gargantuan.
Yeah.
He's fitting behind it. Don't tell me that is slow, because that dude's massive. There's enough of him to ride 2 motorcycles.
Man.
I mean, he can't kick his leg out the corner because
dragging his knee.
No, if he kicked his leg out the corner, he'd high center the bike.
Yeah.
His leg's so long.
His elbows too, man. He's dragging his elbows like every corner, it looks like. It's crazy.
The guy's twice as tall as PJ.
Yeah.
And the two Suzuki guys, I mean, they're pretty small. So,
I asked him, I was like, dude, what's the deal? Like he had massive roll speed, like through turn. Yeah. And he's like, dude, I have to ride the Ducati that way because it's slow. So he just has to roll. He just
both those guys just got off Superbikes. What do you think they're going to say?
Everything's slow, right?
Yeah, Matt was complaining the R6 was slow first 2 rounds, because it kind of was. We started off with a pretty conservative engine.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a lot of trust in the fuel. We didn't know where it was going to end up.
Yeah.
And it turns out they made a slightly better fuel, so we can lean on it a little more. We've been helping those guys look at their pistons and stuff like that, make sure they're not getting the mixture all wrong and having a meltdown.
There's a couple of comments in here about the fuel. Soulless Ginger says, speaking of fuel, VP apparently had a recall on MR12 and U44 because of blowing engines.
Much more than that.
Oh,
the motocross too. No, it was a big deal. They kept it a little bit quiet, but it was on their website.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had we've been talking about this now for a couple of years.
Right.
Every now and then you get caught out with some type of batching issue. I mean, it's a gigantic company. It's been getting bigger and bigger. I mean, they're doing IMSA. They do quite a bit of spec classes. So, I mean, they have the MS-100. I think it's called MS-100, which is the car fuel, and they have our MGP-R now. But you know, at first the fuel was bottom dollar, because apparently some salesman over at Motor America said the fuel's got to be inexpensive. The fuel's got to be inexpensive, and I kept saying, at $20,000 an engine, how inexpensive are you? Like, if it costs us an engine, you know, are you kidding me? The fuel is the last thing you should be worrying about as far as cost goes. If you pay an extra $2 a gallon, and you don't use that much fuel through the weekend. I mean, your average guy goes through a barrel and a half of fuel maybe through the whole weekend.
Right.
You know, so we go through 3 barrels for Superbike class for 2 guys. So the fuel is not a cost factor. Killing engines quickly is a cost factor, but the new stuff seems to be a little better probably after they got their, you know, something whacked over the winter with yet another batch problem.
Yeah.
And so they cleaned up and they tightened up their tolerances a bit. But yeah, there was a couple of things I saw. There was a dealer that's a pretty big VP dealer sent us all the documentation that he was getting. And so yeah, there was some issues, but I think they've cleaned it up since. And this fuel honestly seems to be a little bit better than, well, it seems to be, I think it is a little bit better than what we were getting before. The MGP-R seems to be a bit better.
So
I'll probably eat my words at Ridge.
So most of the comments of the weekend, obviously how the racing went, everybody wants to know, like, I don't know. Nobody will shut the hell up about Aussie Dave's swing arm.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it must be the magic swing arm.
I mean, they made an arm that was a little longer, because ours was a little bit longer this year or last year too. They bought a bike from us, the 2022 Jake Gagne championship bike. They bought one. Yeah. And with that, they got a year worth of basically training on the software.
Right.
So I think Nick is a pretty smart guy. He built swing arms before for the Suzuki. So if it was just the swing arm, the Suzuki's would be winning everything. You know, I mean, swing arm is just part of the equation. If you make a swing arm that has the right linkage and has the right feel for the rider, then yeah, he's probably going to go a little bit better. So I think they're playing around with the length, kind of like what we've been doing. They've been kind of watching us a little bit closely, I think, last year, and they've been in and out of our truck quite a bit. Not taking any credit for what they're doing. They're doing a good job.
They're an attack supported team too, right?
Yeah. They're you know, we give them whatever technical information they want. They ask for it. You know, lately they've been pretty hands off, and and Dave is pretty much that way anyway. He's pretty independent. Those guys like to do their own thing.
He's a tinkerer guy, right?
Yeah,
he's a guy that takes shit apart.
Yeah, he loves to play. He's a gearhead, but you know, whenever they get stuck on something or they have some type of failure or some kind of weird thing, then try to give us, you know, as good advice as we can give them as far as how to keep the thing alive, because every particular motorcycle has its little quirks. If you ride a Honda, Suzuki, a Ducati, everything's got its quirks. Everything needs to be changed in a timely fashion. So you kind of get a leg up when they bought that bike from us. They got a whole rundown of what you need to look at, when you need to change parts. And as time progresses, horsepower changes, different things require different attention. So we gave them whatever information they wanted, you know, as far as that goes. They've done a good job this year. You know, we're a little behind on the human side, I think. Right. Jake's still struggling with his arm, so he isn't able to do more than a few laps at a time. He can get a pretty decent qualifying spot, but come race day, we're just hoping that particular track doesn't affect him. But it seems like it's been pretty regular, so he's trying to get some more medical attention on that. But I mean, he's had 4 surgeries.
He sent me a text and said he's going to get it sorted. You know.
Yeah, well, we're optimistic. It was really crazy because we tested in the winter, and it seems like it's a time thing. Like, we tested in the winter, and he did. Remember, at Podium Club, it's not exactly an energy-free racetrack.
No.
A lot of change direction in the corners. You're hanging off quite a bit. High-speed corner too, and a lot of grips. You can brake real hard. He did, what do you do, like 150 laps in a couple of days one day? And now he can't.
I mean, it was crazy.
Do more than 5 with that.
I think he did over 100 laps over the course of 2 days.
Yeah, it was something. He was riding both bikes.
Yeah.
Cameron wasn't able to ride because his hand was still recovering.
Right.
And so, you know, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this. It's like you heard about, women in an office that have a period at the same time. It's like, we have 2 riders with messed up right hands. one guy's recovering, the guy's trying
Yeah.
to find a solution.
You know, and one of the comments I see, Tim P says, you know, Jake hadn't had these problems the last 2 years.
He
What's
did.
changed? He's had these problems for a
He's had these
while.
problems. He had it. He had it
He
in
never
Atlanta.
says anything.
Yeah, he's not one. He's not a guy to go out crying, and we don't usually make excuses either. You know, so
Right.
we get beat. We get beat. Get on the guy that beat us. You know, especially
Right.
like Dave. You know, they take some of the technology and stuff. We help them. We help them with. They take the ball and run with it. That's good on them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bobby's riding the bike.
Bobby's riding really well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know, I think Jake was saying that, or maybe it was his dad, I don't know, but when he was battling with Petrucci, even he was having arm pump stuff, you know.
Well, I don't know if you recall, he got Atlanta, was it last year? Last year he got beat by Wilby at one race, and then he won the second race. Well, or vice versa. I can't remember which way it was. All these races kind of start blending together. But anyway, he had an issue then, and then he went out and had surgery straight away right after that.
Right.
And then he had a surgery at the end of
end of last year.
End of 23 he had it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then the end of this last year. So I think he's had 4 so far on that arm, trying to get it to cooperate.
Right.
And, you know, I think I don't want to throw people under the bus, but I think the surgeon blew it.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, so I think he's making it. I think, I also heard that SDK had the same kind of issue. Got the guy in Europe to clean up all the scar tissue and reverse the problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm pretty sure that that was the case, because he had a bunch of problems last year, right, in Moto 2.
Right.
Yeah, and he's riding really well now. You know, just the BMW keeps finding the ground, but that's kind of par for the course, that motorcycle. It's
right. Yeah, not there's only one top rack, so.
Yeah, it's a fast motorcycle with a very small operating window, and you know, JD's found the ground quite a bit. SDK's found the ground. I mean, I don't think Cambodia has gone a single event without hitting the ground on the thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think it's just a really small window for that thing. And top rack, the guy's like a balancing magician, right? I mean, he does all his weird balancing stuff. I think he's a guy's like a weeble. He can't really knock him down. Even he's found the ground.
Yeah.
You know, last round he chucked it down the road. You know, I think it's par for the course. It doesn't have a real, like I said, big operating window. So fast motorcycle, small operating window.
Yeah.
Bumpy track, no bueno.
Yeah. I mean, the tracks over there are quite a bit different than they are here too, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, most of our tracks have been repaved, so it's been really good for the Ducati, and I was really surprised to see the Ducati as far up as it was. But with that said, I mean, we don't have Jake in the fight, and so I have a feeling if Cameron's arm comes along, I know he'll say, "Oh, my arm's perfect. It's good." You know, but
he said that at Daytona a couple years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And I shook his hand.
Like
and
a gummy fish.
Yeah, he had no grip. How's your hand? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a wet noodle. And then he struggled with it through 200, but he still did a good job. And but I think that he told me that surgery is 18 months recovery, so it's been not even a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's doing a really good job.
He had it done a couple of weeks or something after Laguna, right?
Yeah, he missed Brainerd. I think he had it done during Brainerd last year.
Right.
So, or it was shortly thereafter. I can't remember. It was just before, just after, somewhere in there. He had to go and find obviously a window where the surgeon can do it, and proper surgeon and all that. And then it was a tough recovery. I mean, most of the testing, he couldn't even ride more than a lap or two. You know, sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, depending on the track. And he was getting pretty discouraged, thinking that he was not even going to be able to do it. But
oh, dude, yeah.
I mean, he seems to be getting better every weekend. His stamina, his energy, you know, and his lap times are getting more consistent. It's just not quite there yet.
Right.
Not quite there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of things I texted you. I was like, dude, I'm seeing that it's too late. Right?
Yeah.
Like the race is over, but I see this. Like, what do you think? And you're like, that's a good point. I was like, Richard said I had a good point.
Yeah. I don't remember the point though.
It's rare.
No,
after the bridge, you know, like they go under the bridge, they make the left, go under the bridge, and then flick to the right. And during the race, you watch Heron was going pretty tight and getting a massive, like still able to roll. and it looked like Cam was kind of opening up the radius of the entry,
Yeah.
and he got gapped like every lap there until
Yeah, we talked about that, and we noticed that as well. Bobby was doing the same thing. He would pretty much shortcut the left to the right because that corner opens up quite a bit, and so there's a lot of room to let the thing flow out, into turn one. Whereas, if you're holding like a traditional line, you spend a lot of time crossing the track back to the left before you go right again. And it's a real easy spot for someone to make up, even though it's such a short run from left to right. You can make people jump up on the guy pretty quick.
Yeah.
And, so he's giving up a little bit of time there. But his main sector was sector 2, which was the left, right, left. After turn 1 and 2. 1 and 2 were pretty strong. Last sector really strong. Second sector, the carousel, that wasn't bad. But that second split was I think our worst with Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, on the show last night, he was talking about, as I was asking him like why he thinks it's slower, because I look at the times and it's like they were a little bit faster than last year, actually quite a bit faster than last year. But
no, it was a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like the race distance time, like overall time was.
The race distance run was faster. There was a lot more 31s because I think Jake only did like 4 31s last year. Him and PJ were going at it the whole race.
Yeah,
he beat PJ one race, and PJ got him back the next race. And again, that people probably don't realize this. He was kind of struggling with his hand back then as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean the total race time of the winner was quite a bit quicker this year than it was last year.
Yeah, there was a lot more low 31s, 31 flats.
Yeah. But you go back to the 2022 times and it's like it's not even the same ballpark. Like
I think what happened was when we showed up there, we were still a little bit confused of these new tires. The R series tire. Before we ran the 129s, let's say,
right,
and which was I think we were using them front and back at the time. It was 129 front, 129 rear was kind of the go-to tire.
Yeah,
and those tires they had a little different character because of the construction. They say it's the same rubber, but the construction made them act differently. Jake was able to take full advantage of the rear, especially because it had more grip initially. But I think what's happened is people focused in on they have another year under their belt with these tires.
Yeah.
And so they can focus on the rubber that they're going to use. Like when we went there, we tried, I think, almost every front. We used the R3, the R5, the R0. I don't think they had the R7 available back then, but we tried all 3 with both guys before we locked in on one, which that was a lot of time wasted.
Yeah.
So this year you can show up basically and go, yep, that's the tire I liked from last year. I'm going to run this and this. And also the Dunlop guys have a lot more information, right?
Yeah.
So Mick, you remember Mick? Michael Jackson? Yeah, Mick Jackson.
Mick Jackson.
He's got a lot more information, and so does Romo and all those guys. So they can go to the teams and go, look, this was the tire. I guess it's the way it's supposed to work. Being a spec tire is you know all the information from the previous year.
Yeah.
World Superbike's kind of the same. You can go, if I remember years ago, I remember going over to the Pirelli area and seeing all the rubber laid out that the various teams have used. So you can go over and kind of look at top racks rear tire or something like that and go, and see what compound he's using. So it's not a gigantic secret. Same with the Dunlops. They share that information across the team. So I think it's a lot easier for guys to show up and go, yep, I'm going to run the R0 front and the R3 rear, whatever their favorite is. And then they start working on their bike and don't mess around with the rubber too much.
So another thing that was kind of like the storyline of the weekend is follow the leader stuff happening.
Yeah, that was a bunch of BS. And it ends up wasting our race tire. It's like everybody just hung out waiting for a lap behind one of the Yamahas because the Yamahas get around there well. It ends up ruining our lap because those guys just stop. Then our guys have to stop, and then they stop, and they all wave at each other. Go ahead. Screw you. You go first. And we told our guys too, like, just go out there and do your lap. Because you basically let the tire cool down, and then it takes, these people don't realize that it takes, when they stop on the racetrack, sometimes it takes 3 to 5 laps for the tire to come back up temperature, completely stabilize. So you go, oh, that tire wasn't that good. Well, yeah, you dicked around for the first 2 laps. What do you expect? So it's stupid. They should just go out and do their lap.
Knowing that could be a thing now, like, does that alter your plans for?
Motor America put out a bulletin.
Okay.
I don't know, the bulletin was kind of weirdly worded. They said something effective. Even if you have a mechanical, you can't tour. You can't ride back to the pits. That doesn't make any sense because the rule doesn't read that way. So you can't. You have to be offline or something if you slow down. You can't block the race line. I have to go back and reread the rules, but the bulletin didn't really match the rule. Maybe they saw it differently. I don't know. I read it. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. If you have a mechanical, let's say your bike shut off. Like we had was it Q1 or might have been Q1? Might have been Q2. I have to go back and look at my notes. But we had a tip over switch. You know, the little dingle dangle around. We had one.
You mentioned it on the show last night. Weekend Hangover.
Yeah, the tip over switch.
Yeah.
Stuck or was sticky, I think, because it usually what happens if it tips over more than 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds or so, whatever we set it to, then it'll shut the bike off. So the thing went 7 seconds and shut off. So you had to restart the bike, came back in, and we just shut off that feature in the electronics, and he went out and finished his lap. I told Cameron, I said, if you do tip over, make sure you turn the bike off. Otherwise, you'll be swapping the engine too. He goes, I'm not going to tip over. That's what he said. So, okay. But if you do, turn off the bike.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, there was the big social media video of the interaction between Bobby and Heron. I guess Heron was pretty upset with him.
I don't pay attention to that. Heron's upset with somebody.
He's an emotional dude. He wears his heart on the sleeve, kind of thing.
He's riding good, good on him. He's always trying to. I mean, he's not shy to make a scene.
No,
arm waving and the flipping off and all this other stuff.
Right.
Some people like it, some people don't. Whatever. It's just whatever to me.
But it wasn't just him looking for a toe. Like we were talking earlier, there was a bunch of riders looking for a toe.
Ash was I think one of the biggest offenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and because they called Cameron to course control, and they said he was touring. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's like 5 people stopped trying to get a tow from him or Gagne or Bobby,
right?
Because those were the pretty much top guys. And if you get a tow around, I mean, SDK was getting a tow, Herfoss was getting a tow, Pash was getting a tow, JD was trying to get a tow. I mean, it was just craziness.
Yeah, the comment that I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye it made me laugh, so I'm gonna have to share it. Okay. Tim P says it's always somebody else's fault other than Josh Caron's.
Yeah, that's pretty much the
truth. Josh Caron.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's a good one. I mean, yeah, he earned it though. Like he, like according to that video anyway.
I didn't even know what happened. Honestly, I didn't pay much attention.
Yeah, basically they were coming out of they were going into the chicane deal, and immediately out of the chicane, Bobby veers hard left and just like pull. Like it looked like what would happen if you like had a mechanical failure or something. Like he just pulled hard left. Well, Heron and Baz were full steam and just followed him.
Like hard left?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
You thought that was a fast line around?
I
mean, it's not like those guys don't know how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I mean,
but it seems like that's been the latest thing. And I mean, that's been going on forever. They do it in MotoGP. They try to be so obvious about it. They do it in World Superbike. World Superbike, the guys sometimes pair up, and I've seen guys from other teams pair up. Like, I don't know what the logic is behind that. And we can't even get our guys to pair up. I wish they would.
Tow each other around.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it works. I've seen it in World Superbike where one guy goes out and does a lap, and the other guy does a lap behind him. Uses them as a target for closure. Kind of help you judge how fast you're going.
Yeah, I mean, it helped Baz at Road Atlanta, right? I mean,
yeah.
Josh went out together, and they were kind of working together.
Well, we did that. We did that with Heron in 22, right? Or 21. Yeah, 21. Yeah, where at Road America, and I thought Heron was going to get pole. he went out and chased Gagne, and Gagne's like, sure, whatever. And because he was struggling, and then he went out and did one lap, crazy fast lap. It was just shy of pole. I think we got 1-2 in that event as far as positioning goes. And then he said, I can't do that lap every time.
Yeah.
I could do it once. But it works if you do it right. I don't know about Brainerd, but it seemed like everyone was kind of mentally screwing each other.
So ride your own ride then? Is that your advice to everybody?
Yeah, you go to your own lap. If you can't do a lap by yourself, how are you going to win a race? You're not.
Okay.
You have to, yeah, I mean, unless your plan is to follow a guy until the last lap and try to get lucky.
Yeah. So another guy, Herfoss was on the BMW, and a lot of people leading up to the race weekend kind of were saying that he was going to be
the guy
in the front.
Oh yeah.
And the reality is, the guy he's a good rider. I think he's a good rider, but
I don't know.
He races Australian Superbike, and
like super stock.
They're stock bikes.
They're stock bikes.
Yeah.
They have some electronics with no features. I think they just started using. They're trying to get into more of a spec type electronics because apparently they think kit boxes are too advanced. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Australia. That's where they invented Motec. So I don't understand why they can't have something a little fancier, but apparently they have to tighten up the series. That's the problem when they have series like that, and that was one of the problems from I remember talking to the Yamaha boss, and he said, well, they don't really look at BSB for riders because those guys don't have a lot of experience. They have to get a guy that knows electronics straight away and jumps on. And someone told me, Herfoss said, man, he goes, I hopped on that BMW so fast, and I don't really know superbikes because superbikes in Australia are not superbikes. They're stock. And you have to look at it logically. People are blowing them up so much. Like I said, I don't really know him. Even Joseph here was like, man, that dude's going to rock. I said, I don't know. I said, he has to ride the bagger, and then he has to ride a bike he's never ridden with electronics he's never used, and then he has to commit to opening the throttle. If the electronics are working right, he's got to commit to, I'm going to open the throttle on this monster motorcycle on this tight wall racetrack that's bumpy.
I said last night. Yeah, I said that last night. Something about that. I was like,
but even Cameron's like, yeah, you know what? I thought he was going to be better than he was too. I don't doubt he's a good rider.
Yeah,
but it takes time. You're not going to hop on.
I mean, Brainerd's Malala.
Yeah. I mean, look at JD hopped on our Superbike. He's ridden one of our Superbikes before.
Right.
For the first race, he got like 6th, then he got 4th, then he got 3rd, then he got 2nd, then he won. Right. So that's progression. That's what you would expect.
Right.
From a good rider, but it's not going to happen the first event when you got to do a bagger, then hop on a BMW with electronics and a jillion horsepower and try to get around a bumpy racetrack with not great runoff in some spots.
Right. I mean, the dude goes well. Like I said, at his, in the Australian series, there's Malala, which is like a Brainerd, basically. Like South Australian's version of Brainerd, basically.
Yeah.
Probably not as fast, but it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So he's all them tracks in Australia, except for a couple of them are pretty shitty.
I don't think it's a matter of having a crappy racetrack. I think it's a matter of, knowing
that's not it.
Knowing the racetrack and knowing the motorcycle and knowing how much you can get out of that motorcycle in a particular corner. Like the Canadians have some pretty rough tracks. They come down here, they don't exactly light the world on fire. And some have been riding here.
Yeah.
They used to when you had Picard, Duhamel, and Crevier, and the old school Canadians. They were fast.
Yeah.
That era kind of came and went, I think, in Canada, maybe because I don't know why, but it did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think, like I said, I think Troy's gonna figure it out, but it's gonna take.
I don't know. I heard that Cameron might be coming back at Ridge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they apparently put a couple screws in and wired the ankle together or the heel together. So like safety wire.
Safety wired it.
Yeah. Put a couple screws up there. Put some safety wire. Tighten it up. Put that bone together real good. Go get some therapy.
Oh man. That's rough.
Depends on how badly somebody wants it, but it is his right foot.
Yeah.
He does use the rear brake quite a bit. And from the information I had from when he rode our bike, and probably for sure. I don't know if they have a handbrake on that BMW. They probably do. And I would assume they do because they had one on his Moto 2 bike. So I imagine he's pretty good at using the handbrake. And he probably actually uses it. So he might be able to do it. He might have a hard time hanging off, but he might come and salvage some points. I wouldn't put it past him. If Jake doesn't get his arm done, and if Cameron takes a little longer to start winning these races, and he might come back and win the championship. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby on my show last night was saying, "Oh, it's going to take him a while to get back going." I'm like, "Are you crazy?"
Bobby.
Yeah, this friend of mine that he's like my co-host for the
Ricky Bobby, whatever you call him.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. Yeah, he was. I was like, dude, are you sure, man? Like, I'm pretty sure Cam Beaubier is going to be a threat to win every time.
Cam Beaubier you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that he's been there, done that with the injuries before.
Right.
I remember testing with him in 20, and he had just hurt his knee again on a motocross bike. Like, put his foot down wrong, hurt his knee, and he was favoring the knee quite a bit, limping around. And Jake went out and did some blistering lap on his bike. And Cam's like, "What do you do?" This much. And he was just about done, like getting ready to take his leathers off. He goes, "Oh, I'll go do another couple laps." And he went out and smashed a track record. So that's the way that's the way racers are.
Yeah, I don't think
nice they are off the bike. When they put that helmet down. I was trying to explain that to Tyler's guy because he was a little disappointed. I think the fact that he crashed out in the wind. I said, "Dude, racers are racers. Once they put the helmet down, they want to win."
Yeah.
They want to win. And sometimes they don't realize the bike's not there for them to win.
That makes sense.
Real racers anyway.
Real racers. Well, I was curious because, like I said, Cam said that there was something different about the racetrack from before.
Yeah.
And then also, I was thinking that it'd be cool to see some GPS or something of like that super fast area at Brainerd, turn 1 to like how fast does your GPS tell us that the bikes are going? Because you said it was like trap speed. Was like
and I think it was race 1 towards the end. He went like 158. I think that's the middle of turn 2. But we can look and see what the top speed is on GPS.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's pull up some data. And while I'm doing that, I have a question from Joel.
Once you turn on the data there.
I'm turning it on. I'm turning our faces off because whatever.
Yeah.
He says, does Cam Beaubier remind you of Ben Spies or Josh Hayes?
Cam Beaubier remind me of Ben Spies or Josh Hayes?
Yeah.
Neither.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I mean, what he reminds me of is, and I told him that once, is Johnny Ray.
Oh, wow. Not this year, obviously.
Not, well, I mean, still same style, but same style.
Yeah. Same riding style, you mean?
Yeah, he has a similar kind of riding style. Cam Beaubier did change his riding style at, when he went to Moto 2, he started changing his riding style a bit.
Yeah.
And so, they have similar riding styles. Yeah.
So what are we looking at here? I see squiggly lines.
Yeah, I'm looking at the GPS traces right now.
Okay.
And one of them is from right here, 29.9.
Okay.
Versus a 31 flat. So the 31 flat was Peterson.
Yeah.
In the race 1, and the 29.9 was Gagne's qualifying from 22.
Okay.
So I just want to kind of let me see here. Where the heck's the?
There's a good question. Cody Krager was like,
so here's the speeds here. So one's 270.2, not super fast, and the other one's 266.6. So this year was 266.6, and then 22 was 270.2.
Oh, so it's a little bit quicker in 2022.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If you want to see that, what is that miles per hour? So that's 167, and that would be right there. Can you see that right there?
Yeah.
Dots. That'd be right when you start entering turn 2.
Wow. Okay.
So you're kind of entering, and you're pretty much on the side of the tire. And I remember Jake was leaving rubber exiting turn 2 that year because the BMW was pretty fast, and we were using a lot of cut and traction control and things like that. And we ended up releasing some of that for turn 2, and he was leaving rubber like right in the middle of this guy. 160 miles an hour. But you get down to right there, you're getting down to like 100 what is that? 196. So 196. I can't do the math on my head. It's 122 going through here.
So 122 mile an hour on the side of the tire.
Yeah. I mean, in the old days, this turn 1 area was the fast turn.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking about turn 1, so turn 1 right there, you're going much faster in turn 2. So that is
really,
like, say in the middle of turn 1, you're going 222K.
Okay.
So that is 138 miles an hour about.
Good. Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So then if you want to
party.
Yeah. I think it's a good time.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm not riding the motorcycle, right? So if you want to see the difference in the racetrack and why it's slower,
yeah,
I can zoom up on this area if you can kind of see that.
Yeah, because Camp P said last night they changed something to the track and he couldn't figure out what it was.
Well, he hadn't ridden there since 22.
Right.
So he didn't race there in 23. You remember?
Yeah, because he was
Hayes Road.
Yeah, he was deleting body parts by then. So
yeah, he was removing part of his arm.
Yeah.
His wrist. So yeah, he's lighter now because he's got less bones.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can see if you can see the overlays of the track line.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's a. Yeah, no, I don't want to switch it. But anyway, here's a zoom up. So let's just zoom up on this little section right here. So you can kind of see where the X's are. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So you can kind of see where they're going. So in 22 it was a straighter shot here.
Okay.
And then then you cross over, and then it was a straighter shot here. So they made these two corners a little bit more of corners. And so let me just minimize that. So then when you go back and look at the variance, let me see if there's a variance here.
There kind of has to be, right? Because it's so much slower.
Yeah, let me go back to this one view here. This is too much information. You got to see the stuff that Marshall looks at. I mean, it looks like something out of Matrix.
He can read the Matrix for sure.
Yeah, and he doesn't talk much. He's not really human. I keep saying that.
He's a robot.
He's AI. Just looks like Marshall. So he keeps picking the same damn screen. Okay, it's not this one. Marshall's much better at this than I am. And he gets a lot of practice. So anyway, so you go over here to okay, come on. What's going on?
This is a live show, everybody.
Yeah, of course it is. It's also Italian software.
Right.
It's temperamental. It's emotional.
Well, now we've got a white track map, so that's
cool. Well, I'm trying to get back to the screen because it didn't refresh. Probably because I'm trying to share it. It doesn't like it.
That's all right.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the variance, and so you can see the track is pretty much the same. There's a little give and take.
Yeah.
Right when you get to that section here, which was that section, which is stupid track map's not showing now.
Right.
That's where you lose all the time right before you get to the final corners.
Okay.
And that's that left right section that we showed, so it's a little bit wider.
So they basically made it tighter. They made it more of on the left and the right.
Yeah, they made it to where you have to see if we get our track map back. One more time.
There we go.
Come on, track map. There we go. That's track map. Now let's go back to the other screen so I can show you the variance on the track map. These are all templates.
Yeah.
Marshall builds.
Marshall builds all the templates.
Yeah, it doesn't like the track. No track. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So that one section I showed you, that's where you lose all the time. And that's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, right in that section. So it's about that amount of time. It's let's see here. It starts off at 10th minus and goes to about, yeah, it's a pretty good amount of time, like 4/10, 3.5
Yeah.
tenths. Yeah, something like
Just
that.
in that one spot.
Yeah, almost
Wow.
almost half second. Yeah, so that's where the 30 flat comes from. 29.9 versus a 31 flat, almost second. Yeah.
Huh. Crazy.
So we did do 30.6 in qualifying. That was good for a second or a third, and then everybody was pretty tight. And there was, I think, Bobby did a 30.3, something like that.
In the race on Sunday?
Yeah. No, for
Bobby.
qualifying.
Oh, for
Qualifying.
qualifying. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what he did in qualifying. I know in race 2 he did a 30.9 in the race.
Yeah. Yeah. And Peterson did a 31 flat, so they're pretty close in
Right.
race 1. Had the
Right.
fast lap of the race and highest speed, I think. Now SDK might have gone 0.3 faster speed wise. So he
Yeah,
was
CP did a 31.0 and Laura Baz did a 31.09.
yeah,
Yeah.
slightly short, slower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he figured out something.
Yeah, good on him, man. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I been watching the race and I thought Baz would come out swinging harder.
Him and
Honestly,
Herfoss, huh?
I didn't think Herfoss was going to because, dude,
A
he's
lot of
great.
guys did. I was just really surprised, man. People were like, "Man, he's gonna rock." I'm like,
Well, because he's the new shiny toy. Everybody,
I know, but I mean, I kind of hoped he did, but it wasn't to be. I think it was a lot.
Yeah,
It was a lot of pressure on the guy too. I think it was one of those. Hey, let's see what he does. And like I said, just like putting JD on our bike.
right.
Eventually he's going to get going. I think if he stayed on the bike more than a couple more rounds, or if he knew the tracks, it'd be a lot easier. But you saw like Petrucci comes here and he doesn't light the world on fire. Baz really struggled.
Yeah.
He had a hard time winning anything when he was here last time. Now he
Right.
knows the track, so it's gonna be a little bit easier for him. But Petrucci put up a pretty good fight, but at the end he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
A
Right.
guy like Cambobier, I mean, he's a threat because he knows the tracks and he knows what to expect. He knows the tires. I mean, he's a great rider.
Right. Well, so there's a guy getting to some of the comments. There's a guy that's been like kind of commenting on the YouTube videos after we're live.
What are you saying?
And
We
he no, man. But
Oh,
apparently he's asked me this before in the comments after
okay.
we were live and I missed them, but I actually copied and pasted this one. So the guy, it's KH Japan. He says, "Mate, I've asked this question before and you promised." I don't remember promising
Let's
shit,
do it.
but
Whatever.
yeah, he says, "Is Yamaha allowed to bring in more performance parts or mods since the bike is not limited with production road limitations?" Is it not?
Is it allowed? We don't have any. We don't have any special
Performance.
parts. No.
Yeah.
The only thing we've been allowed to do is some safety stuff. Like we were able to pin the rod bearing so it wouldn't rotate.
Okay.
And we do that on our bikes. Nobody else really doing it. And I don't think the ADR guys are doing it. I think just changing rods more often. And that's about it. We had a ballast that we put under the engine that they allowed that also helps with some of the dampens the case flex. So Yamaha Europe thinks it helps with some of the crank movement, rod failure type stuff, but you'd have to run something really, really long time to find out, and we don't want to find out.
Right.
So, but we use it more for a ballast under the bike, get the mass down there, and that's about it. So maybe next year they might have some type of special concession for the R1 because I think Yamaha Europe might be asking for something, but there's nothing that we have.
Right.
I do believe they have a flywheel. They have a lightened, not a flywheel, but a generator.
Oh.
On the World Superbikes, they have a small generator which helps with some of the turning, but the bike turns pretty good already. But it does take some of the mass off the crank and helps with engine braking. That's all I
Any
know.
plans on that, or is that legal in Motor America?
They won't let us have it.
It
might be worth a try again since they have it on the World Superbikes, especially since the Ducati and BMW are obviously more modern bikes and they have the horsepower advantage. They just don't have a chassis advantage.
Right.
It's kind of like the R6 versus the. It's the way they see it. It's the R6 versus the Ducati and Suzuki.
Yeah. And 848 Evo says the R1 uses stock titanium rods, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, they just allowed us to pin the bearing of the rod, because the high RPM, because we're stretching the RPMs on these things more than the average kit box can, because we have Morelli. We don't have the RPM rules, so we do lean on them a little bit more, so that the rods flex a little more, and they're prone to the bearing rotating slightly. So we pin them in place like a drag car would.
Like a drag car.
Yeah, old
You're
Top
pulling
Fuel.
out drag car shit on the Superbike. Nice.
Always a solution for something on these things. Just a matter if the series will let you do it.
That's true. Well, so let's get to some of the comments here.
Sure, let's do comments.
The proto guys like customer team beats the factory. WTF happened? Kind of talked about that already. You know, they're doing a good job. You know,
yeah, good job.
They're doing a good job, and we're running with injured dudes.
Well, I mean, one guy's recovering, the other guy's trying to find a solution. Like they're not really they don't have stitches or anything.
Right.
It's just one guy's getting back up to speed, and the other guy's trying to find a solution to let him do his job.
Yeah.
It's more frustrating when you're a healthy, breathing, talking human and can't do what you have to do more than a couple laps.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's nobody in the paddock more frustrated than
not taking away anything from Dave and Bobby and Nick and funny part is that Robbie Peterson's Bobby Fong's crew chief, and Robbie Peterson's also Cameron Peterson's dad.
Yeah.
Also an accomplished racer in his own time,
Yeah.
He keeps teasing me though. I'm gonna punch him in the face if he says it one more time though.
What's he saying?
Keeps saying, you should stop doing that show because I listen to everything you say and use it, kind of thing.
I mean, it's not like you're not sharing everything. Like,
well, we give quite a bit of info.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they were struggling with the bike last year, he was under our tent quite a bit. And, we tell him, look, it's not a Suzuki. You can't let Bobby do it this way, or whatever. He's got to get used to the bike like this. He needs to learn how to. And then they had the gas tank like really tall. And I go, man, you guys have that gas tank really tall. And so they lowered the thing. So, I mean, they went through a year of learning. And now they're using it, which is good on them. They have double win. That's great. Now Bobby's got 2 wins. Cameron Peterson's got 2 wins. Cam Bobby's got 3. Aaron's got 1, and Jake's got 1.
Dude, anybody that asks Dave about what's the success story, Dave always has like a really good attitude, and he's got a big smile on his face. He's like, mate, we're just messing around and doing everything like Richard.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a really resourceful dude, and he's got a sponsor that's got some capability, and they're doing the business, which is great, and I think what it does is it encourages other people to be involved in Superbike. I mean, look at the Top Pro guy, right?
Yeah.
He came into our trailer. He said, hey, is it possible for me to take a little walk through your trailer? I don't remember if it was last year, year before. I think it was last year. And I said, yeah, man. And so he asked me a bunch of questions like how much and how do you put a team together, this and that. And he went out and assembled that team. And and he came by. He's like, hey, man, thanks for letting me. You really encouraged me and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, no worries. I mean, I think what happens is if the top guy wins everything all the time, it discourages the other teams. Now the championship's pretty much wide open, right?
Yeah, you never know who's going to win.
I've always welcomed. I mean, a Tytler guy, Michael. I tell him just stay focused. And last year he wanted to quit, right at the end of the year. Now they're had every bit of opportunity to win the championship, and they're winning races, and they got 3 wins right away. So I think they're, you got to keep the paddock full.
Right.
If you win everything, it kind of discourages everyone. So yeah. I mean, a satellite team or whatever you want to call it, a support team, guys going out doing their own thing with a bike you guys are racing. I think that's pretty good. They can win with it. They got 2 wins.
And that Top Pro team, they're not just competitive in Superbike; they're competitive in every class practically, right?
Yeah, they're doing a good job too. Too bad they're on Beamers, but I guess they have some pretty decent funding, I'm thinking.
Yeah, they got
they have a lot of construction logos I noticed on the side of the trailer. So somebody over there in Florida has got a lot of construction money.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool to see. like a team supposedly like come out of nowhere. You know, I remember seeing their rig at Texas when I was there with Gil last year, and I was like, man, who is this? Like, I thought it was just like I think I said it was I thought it was like a CMRA, like a well-funded CMRA team, you know?
Well, I think one of the guys, man, terrible names, but he's also a racer too.
Yeah.
And one of the money guys, I think, also is a racer.
Oh,
So they're
yeah.
all kind of, almost like Dave, like ADR.
Yeah.
He's a racer too. I mean,
Yeah,
when
Arango.
he's not building the engines, he like you saw him at the one race, he's racing the Suzuki in Supersport, and he's in there in his leathers changing the clutch.
Yes.
That's Dave.
Right.
Yeah, so everyone's trying, and they're doing a good job, and that's great.
Yeah, it's like when our team was basically just smashing everybody, and you can't keep winning by 10 seconds. And
why not?
Well, you can, but like you said, if you keep doing that and you're doing that all the time, it discourages the other teams. And now we've got other teams that have stepped up their game.
Well, I mean, like I told you, we had this conversation with Motor America before, where Wayne Rainey asked us if we could slow down because we're making the racing boring. But that was like 22 and 21, 20, and then in 23 got more exciting. And now, I mean, the championship's wide open. You never know. I mean, Heron could win the championship if everything goes right. You just never know. Our guy may not be able to come back this year and do a good job. He might struggle the whole year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe more time before he finds a solution for his hand issue.
Jeez, that's rough, man.
No, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. So hopefully he's hooked up with the right guy. The guy supposedly had some good success, and it's just going to take some time before he get he's still second in the championship. So it's not end of the world.
Right.
And Cam Peterson, I mean, he's coming on stronger every race pretty much. Right. So, I mean, he started off in Atlanta, it wasn't that great. And then, Barber, Road America. I mean, he keeps getting better and better every weekend. So Barber had a good run, but he fell over. So hopefully at Ridge, you can get a double win there. But, you never know. Like I said, this championship's wide open.
Rhino Racing wants to know if you think the R6 is going to be on the grid much next season. It looks like the numbers on the grids are going down slowly in Moto America, and he's hearing the R9 should be out for next year.
R9, I have no idea what that is. Is that a new motorcycle? You don't know anything about an R9. What is this thing they say? R9.
Right.
There's some buzz about a new bike. I don't know how they're gonna, put it out. That's up to Yamaha to put that out and feature it and all stuff. I don't even know what it looks like. But yeah, the R6 is still competitive. Obviously, there's still one race. I don't see it being any slower next year. I don't see them changing the rules for the R6. If there's another bike the Yamaha wants to obviously showcase as a Supersport bike, then the official teams will change focus to that. But if I was, running with these rules right now, the R6 seems to be the bike to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard
because you have a World Supersport spec engine, and it's pretty much unlimited as far as RPM and all that stuff goes. Where the other guys, the R6 was always the benchmark. The benchmark of performance. So they take the data off the R6 and they try to match the performance of the other bikes to it. That's how it works. That's how the balancing rules work. I'm not saying I'm a fan of the whole balancing thing. I wish they were all one size CCs. Like there was a 600 class before. I wish all the factories made it at 600, but they don't. Right. So they had to come up with something. I get it. So they balanced out the rules. And I remember, and after Road America, I sent Teague a message. Teague is the track director at Motor America. And I said, hey, the balancing rules are actually working out right this year, because we have a good rider on the Yamaha and a good team and a good engine package. And so even at Road America was competitive. I mean, how much closer do you want to get than losing by 1/1000th of a second or whatever the heck they lost by?
Right.
I mean, that's as close as you can get. So what's all the crying about?
Right.
Usually it's always somebody crying. The Suzuki's crying, the Ducati's crying, the Yamaha's crying, everybody's crying. Just go race your motorcycles. I think it's okay.
Quit your crying and go racing.
Quit your crying and start racing the motorcycles.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that attitude. That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what happens when we get blasted down a straightaway by one of those BMWs? We go back and we work a little harder.
Yeah.
You know, try to make it up elsewhere.
Right. So Matt Spinak says he races an R1. He says he has his steering damper cranked up pretty high, and he found it actually made the bike easier to ride and felt more stable, even mid-corner. But he says he's watched video of you talking about the R1 and mentioned that both of your riders keep the damper set pretty low, and he was surprised to hear that. Do you know why they prefer that? I mean, they're like, what's different?
I can tell you why. Because what's the name? Matt, right?
Matt
Spinak.
I don't know
if I'm saying it right, but I didn't see the pronunciation. I mean the writing of his name. But anyway, so Matt probably doesn't have any kind of steering head modification on his bike. I'm assuming,
right?
With triple clamps or rake inserts or whatever, right? We do. So we find a lot of stability in the bike with the chassis geometry. So we don't have to dampen the front end as much, and makes it a little bit actually easier for our guys to ride when they don't have to counter the steering damper.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what they tell me anyway.
That's what the riders tell you?
Because they engineer the bike.
Okay, so Ride to Death says, what kind of wheel horsepower do most Superbike make? How much do they weigh? I'm not asking for metrics of your bikes, just curious of general numbers.
Well, I mean, they have the limit, I think, is 168 kilograms, right? Is that the rule? 168, yeah. So most of them probably weigh around 170, I'd assume. They're all the same. You know, World Superbike, they started combining rider and machine. So now Batista can't just go out and smash everyone at will.
The Redding rule?
Yeah, the Redding rule, the Batista rule, more like it, because the guy weighs 2 ounces and he rides a motorcycle really well, so it makes it advantage, right? The
anti-midget rule, like,
yeah, I mean, you can't fault him for being a good rider and small, right? But yeah, I kind of agree with the rule as well, because that kind of takes away from society as a whole, because everyone's getting a little bit taller and bigger, right? And so you produce one midget that can ride a motorcycle, and then you beat everybody, even if they're not that good. But Batista's good and small, so there's that. And horsepower wise, I mean, they vary. I mean, if you're not making at least 220 horsepower, you're riding super stock.
At least 220 horsepower.
Yeah, I'm not going to say any more on that, but that's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
At the rear wheel, that is.
So Cody Krager wants to know, like, the fast turns at Brainerd, lean angle and mile an hour compared to the kink at Road Atlanta. And actually somebody later said VIR. Somebody was saying
you're asking a lot of stuff. I don't have that stuff in my head. Lean angle at every corner.
No, like the mile an hour.
Probably would.
Like the mile an hour in those fast kinks, you know, like somebody was saying 180 for the one at VIR.
I could find out if you want to keep talking.
I mean, it's not that serious. Like we'll make note of it.
And I mean, it hits the limiter in 6th gear.
Yeah.
Because of the kink. So VIR, huh? When was the last time we went there? 23?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, by the way, August Nord says Attack Honda. Shut up, August.
You never know. I mean, we were on Suzuki's. We were on the Yamahas before that. And then we were on Kawasaki's. Now we're on the Yamahas again. I mean, that is a whole lifetime worth of racing, though. So, yeah, here's VIR. So I don't know. Let's take qualifying.
Yeah, apparently I'm being asked to make a T-shirt about the quit your crying stuff. It's really funny.
Yeah, quit your crying and quit following each other. Holy crap! Figure out how to ride a motorcycle yourself.
Wow, dude. That's
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there to race someone. You're going to go out and just follow. Is that really? I mean, are you that good a racer? You have to figure out how to ride a motorcycle. Seriously.
And people are loving your answer to the R9 question. The answer to the R9 question. What is the R9?
I have no idea what you're talking about, because I've never been told about any such thing called an R9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
If Yamaha does have something up their sleeve, then it's usually some kind of secret code name.
They're pretty good at keeping secrets too. So
Yeah. So in the kink at VIR, on his fastest lap, Jake went 279K in the
goddamn,
kink. And
that's
then he
fast.
gets up to almost 300 at the end.
Wow.
So 279 for the mile per hour guys
Right.
is 173 miles an hour.
There you go. There's some
It's
data
fast.
for you. That's fast
Remember
as
when
shit.
Petrucci had a brain fart and crash there?
Yeah.
He's like, holy shit. He said something like that was the fastest crash he ever had.
Yeah.
Any other kinks you guys want to know about?
I think that's it. Yeah, no more crying, flower power, pansexuals.
Yeah.
Lots of that
I'll
stuff.
go with that guy, whatever.
Eric Davis wants to know if you need any bags.
He's the bag lady of the team now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, so why is ED?
Well, it's not just Ed, it's Walker too. For some strange reason, which drives me crazy. The guy we unload, right? When we show up, we'll bring. What happens is we go back to the shop. We don't unload the truck. We have an area where broken replacement parts, whatever, go into.
Okay.
These are our exchange containers, right? So let's say use 10 steels and 20 fibers. You don't throw those in the garbage. You put them in this container.
Okay.
Right. And then when you get to the shop, you take out your 10 steels and 20 fibers, whatever, and you put in brand new ones, and then you throw them in the garbage. It avoids making a whole list and people forgetting to make a list and all that. So anything you wear out, you throw in the box. And then we get the shop, you exchange it. So what happens is you end up going back to the track, and most items are in Ziploc bags. So the guys have this tendency to just put the Ziploc bags in the drawer with items in it. So I usually spend a good part of the day opening the drawers, taking the stuff out of Ziploc bags on Thursday and putting the items away, because the Ziploc bags get caught up in the drawers sometimes, and then they don't latch or they won't unlock. Then you got to take the drawers out of the thing, and you're trying to get to the stupid part, and if you're in a hurry, you got to pull the drawer out, and the Ziploc bag is all smashed in the back. So I took all these Ziploc bags, and I go, who the hell put these Ziploc bags in the drawers? I've been talking about this forever. Eric's like, I did. So I stuffed all the Ziploc bags in his pocket.
Oh man, that's hilarious. You stuffed them in his pocket. That's great.
Yeah, he just walked around with a Ziploc bag stuffed in his pocket.
Eric, the bag lady Davis.
It's ED, man. It's Ed. He just goes by Eric at home.
Oh, so
anyway, so some inner team stupidness, whatever.
That's fun. You said Walker's guilty of that shit too?
Oh, awful with the Ziploc bags.
Wow.
That guy, ED is Ed is the new bag lady, but Walker's been the bag lady forever.
So ED has been promoted, basically.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Find his position as bag lady.
So you've got Ridge next. What's the master plan for that one?
Oh,
go up and smash everybody.
I mean, we're gonna go do what we do, but I've got my fingers crossed that Jake's figured something out as far as arm goes, and Cameron's focused and ready to rock and roll, and he's in better shape than the last few. You're not saying he wasn't in bad shape in the last one. I mean, he's like I said, he's the kind of guy that never wants to admit that he's struggling at all, but sometimes you see it. He gets off the bike and he's doing one of these with his wrist, massaging. I don't know if that's just because he's been doing it for the last 6 months, or a year. Like it's just habit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I shook his hand, and he had a pretty healthy handshake last time I shook his hand.
He did. It's way improved. Way better than Daytona the one time when he gave me the limp fish.
Yeah.
Right before, I'm like, oh, we're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
he still got a pretty healthy handshake too, but it's you got to shake his hand after 5 laps.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's what's happened to Jake, man. Yeah, you gotta just move all the shit to the left side.
It's been a weird season, right? I mean, you got OBA with sitting out, Jake with his arm. It's like it's a weird champion. You thought those guys would be the going at it. They're both healthy, but Jake hasn't been healthy at all, and I know he doesn't want to make excuses. He probably doesn't want me talking about it, but you know, he hasn't been healthy any of the races so far.
Yeah.
Bummer, you know. So, and I'm more disappointed for him than us. You know, we just do what we do. That's our job. Right? We show up with a motorcycle and try to give them the best possible bike they can ride. And if they're struggling with it, then, you know, it kind of bums me out because I can't fix it. A bike I can fix. I'm not a surgeon.
Right.
I'm willing to give it a try if he's, you know, I can take the screaming if he can take the pain.
I mean, you just put him into one of the machines.
Yeah.
Scan it, machine it.
Yeah. Yeah. 3D printing your wrist, hand, whatever. But
so Cody Krager says it's Moto America's 3-year curse. Nobody's gotten 4 in a row championships in Superbikes yet.
Yeah, maybe Moto America, but I mean, Matt Mladen, I think, was killing for a long time, right?
Yeah, but that's before Moto America, right? It's a Moto
Hey,
America.
Yeah, Cody. Cody, right? The guy's name was Cody.
Cody Krager.
The year's not over yet. Jake's still second in the championship, and
dude,
some miracle.
Yeah, calm down, Cody.
Slash, you know, Indian witch doctor might be able to do the trick. I don't know.
I mean, he could find that Indian medicine doctor from like Joe Dirt.
Something, because obviously the surgeons aren't doing a spectacular job.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's supposedly it's worse than it was before his last procedure.
It's way worse.
Yeah.
And before, it was like, comes in and says, man, I couldn't hold on the bike after like 3 laps from the end. I lost. Now it's like, I can't hold on the bike after I let the clutch out. You know, that kind of thing.
Fuck.
I mean, you saw it. You saw it yourself. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but that's kind of the way it is.
That makes it even crazier seeing him go as fast as he's going, knowing that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could probably do it off memory, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, right around the track with his eyes closed. That's the way it is. There's
comments saying that he should do the rattlesnake bite therapy.
Okay. I'm sure Chuck Chiacchetto's got all kinds of other medicinal stuff he could give him.
100%. Yeah.
I'm not sure he'd want to do anything but sit on the couch, though.
I mean, I don't know. Jake seems to be pretty motivated, sorted out, you know.
So he's really bummed out and really motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see him. I mean, once he gets this thing fixed, I can see him come back with pretty intense fire, you know.
Oh, 100%. Irate Barry says he's Asian, so he'll send him some ginger tea.
There you go. That might make you go to the restroom a lot.
Wow. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this thing, Richard. I do have a guy thanking you for consistently doing this show, and he says he enjoys your perspective and insight.
If it wasn't for the guys at the track coming up and saying thank you, like a guy walked up with his kid, said thank you. I'm like, I still have to keep doing this crap with Dustin. Oh my God.
Shut the fuck up.
Every Wednesday, I'm like, oh crap, I got to do this again.
Yeah, I bet. Right on. Well, dude, best of luck at the Ridge, and you know, hopefully, like the Yamaha press release said, that you're gonna go back to work at the shop and plan on figuring out how to smash everybody at.
It's not what it actually said.
Something like that.
But the Yamaha girl changed it. Quote, I said, we came, we lost, we're leaving. So we're gonna go to Ridge and smash everyone. That was the so we came, we lost, we're leaving.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the Ridge and smash everyone. She fixed it. She wouldn't put it up like that.
Yeah, well, you know, corporate.
Yeah, I know. It's Juneteenth, man.
Hey, you know what?
Juneteenth.
I did. I rode my bicycle for 4 hours today. So
yeah. I worked.
Well, because you always work.
Yeah.
Somebody actually in the comments said that you live at the shop, basically.
Yeah. My closest people seem to tell me that.
I mean, I've known you for years. I think you're not working as hard as you used to.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm doing this stupid show.
Oh, like, dude, I could call the shop at 2 a.m. and you'd be there, like back in the day.
Yeah, we kind of set a time.
Yeah,
because that's a declining result. You do it for 1 or 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then eventually you're like, oh my God, I'm spent.
Yeah.
But I was younger too, and had all that military background crap that I could lean on. But now I'm triple 20.
Triple 20.
Yeah, it doesn't work the same anymore.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, good show. Thanks for everybody for commenting and watching this stuff. Please share it and like and unsubscribe and all that, and buttons and all that. Yeah. And see you at the next round. Or, best of luck, kick ass, smash everybody, all that, hurt feelings.
We're gonna try.
Cool.
I'm not guaranteeing it, but we're trying.
Right on, man.
All right, dude. Later.
Okay, so